Right mates, how's it going? In today's video, it's chapter 18 of Tides of Darkness by Aaron Rosenberg. So I've been working out for a few months now, and I'm at that really annoying point where I have the physique of an orangutan. But enough of that, let's go! Are we ready? Aye sir. Good. Sound for positions. We attack as soon as they fall within range. The quartermaster saluted and walked off towards the big brass bell that sounds for positions and stuff. And immediately, Daelin Proudmoore heard the hustle and bustle of his crew rushing to their assigned stations. Good folks, each and every one of them. He never sailed with a finer group, although he'd never say that out loud to them. Proudmoore then turned his attention back to the sea. The dark shapes he'd spotted on the horizon were bigger now, and they were exactly what he'd suspected them to be. Orc ships. This was it. He'd been dreaming of this chance ever since the war had started. He didn't give a shit where they'd been. He didn't care why there were orc ships out in the Great Sea, separate from all the fighting going on at Lordaeron. Wouldn't matter soon anyway, because Proudmoore intended to see the orc fleet sunk as quickly and efficiently as possible. And so, just behind the island of Crestfall, northeast of Proudmoore's beloved Kul Tiran, the entire Kul Tiran fleet waited and prepared and stuff. Fire! Somehow, the Kul Tiran fleet took the orc ships completely by surprise, so the initial volley of cannon fire hit hard and sank a whole bunch of the buggers. This was going to be over well quickly, Daelin thought. The orcs aren't mariners, after all. They may be strong on the ground, but in a boat they're a bunch of morons. However, a lookout then shouted down from the crow's nest, interrupting Daelin's moment of self-congratulation. Admiral, there's something heading towards us, from above. Meanwhile, on one of the other boats... What was that? Jared, use your words, man. Did you see something? Derek Proudmoore's pilot continued to stammer and shake with fear. The words just weren't coming out. So he pointed instead, and Derek turned to find out what was what, and then he saw it. Up in the clouds was a dragon, its scales gleaming blood red in the early morning light. And it wasn't alone. There were two. No. 3. No. There was at least a dozen of the beasts, and they appeared to be diving in this very direction. For a second, Derek swore he saw plain anguish deep within the lead dragon's eyes, like they felt really bad about what they were about to do or something, which was a bit weird, but it didn't provide any kind of solace, because the next thing Derek Proudmoore knew, he was on fire, and then he was dead. Rest in peace, Derek. Actually, no. You know what? I'm glad he's dead. Fuck you, Derek. Fucking Derek. All Derek's father, Daelin, could do was watch, as all 6 ships of the 3rd Fleet went up in flames. There was definitely no surviving that, and Daelin was absolutely distraught. But grief would have to come later. Turn us around. We continue the attack. But the dragons. They're foes like any other. Target them like we would enemy ships. Daelin's men nodded and rushed back to their stations. Sails were furled. Cannons were reloaded and aimed upwards, obviously, and crossbows were also loaded. So when one of the dragons started to soar towards them, Proudmoore raised his sword high and yelled, "Attack!" Unfortunately though, their valiant effort failed miserably. The dragon simply dodged every cannonball that flew towards it, and simply ignored the crossbow bolts as they bounced harmlessly off its scales, because the difference between attacking enemy ships and attacking dragons is, ships can't think for themselves. However, just as Proudmoore started to consider the possibility that this might be his final battle, he and his men saw a bunch of new shapes appear in the sky. Smaller than dragons. Wild hammers! Attack! And attack they did. Kurdrin himself launched his storm hammer and knocked a dragon rider off his mount, whilst the rest of the wild hammers did similar things. We'll handle these beasties. You take care of the ships. Alright then. Didn't have to tell Daelin twice. They would indeed take care of the ships. The rest of the battle didn't exactly go completely smoothly. The Alliance did lose a few more ships and a few wild hammers, but eventually the Alliance were victorious. Sir, what is it? Daelin looked over the railing at where his mate was pointing. There was someone bobbing in the water. Someone human. Get a rope to him and keep an eye out for other survivors. Daelin's heart raced as the man was hauled aboard. Could it be? Was it Derek? Nope. The man was not wearing the green tunic of Kul Tiran. He was wearing the waterlogged garb of Ulterac. What the bloody hell was one of Perinold's men doing floating out here in the ocean? Speak. Lord Perinold sent us. We guided them to their ships. So you're a traitor then. I should gut you like a fish and toss your innards to the sea, but such a death is too good for you. Alive you can provide proof of Perinold's treachery. Daelin then turned to one of his men. Bind him. Toss him in the brig. Yes, sir. Set sail for South Shore. We'll rejoin the Alliance army, report our success, and Ulthrak's betrayal. And we're leaving it there. Short and sweet. Derek is one of those characters where they kind of retrospectively added a reason to give a shit about him. But in this actual book, it's like one paragraph that's like, Derek died. See you, Derek. The reason why I dislike Derek so much is because I feel like his name sticks out like a sore thumb in Warcraft. Like, you've got some real fantasy names in this universe, and then you've got Derek. As usual, links in the description for the book, my Patreon page, my Discord, all of that stuff. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, all of that bollocks. And all that's left to say is, thanks for watching, and see ya!